Welcome back, good evening. Tonight we are making cinnamon buns, sourdough cinnamon buns. So you have to start the night before if you want them in the morning. So if you want to make them for someone special, you got to plan this out the night before. So yes, cinnamon buns, sugar, a little bit bad, a little bit naughty, but we're going to try and make these sort of the healthiest. So at least we're making it, we know what we're putting into it. So we're going to start out, I have 2.5 cups of organic all-purpose flour in the bowl, okay? And now I have 1/2 cup, which is 1 stick of really cold butter, all cut into cubes. So we're going to put that in with the flour. Like that, nice and cold. And I've got my pastry cutter. We're just going to cut that into the flour. So I'm going to manhandle this a little bit until you get kind of a fine crumb. So you really want to work it in there. La la la. Get your arm workout in, because you're going to need a workout after eating these, just saying. But they're freaking delicious. Absolutely. This is actually a video by request. So you know who you are. Here are your cinnamon buns. It's actually supposed to snow tonight. It's freaking April and it's supposed to snow. So I figured this would be a nice treat in the morning with a little bit of snow on the ground. And then hopefully after a couple of hours the snow is gone. And I can get outside and start to walk these off. We really just keep working this till we get that butter into small pieces. So I got that butter fairly cut up. I will show you. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's still some little chunks of butter in there. That's perfect. So it's mostly mixed into that flour, but there's still a few chunks in there. Now to that, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of the sourdough starter. Then we're gonna add a tablespoon of maple syrup. See, healthy sugar, if there really is such a thing. And then to that, I'm gonna add 1 cup of coconut milk. So you can use whatever kind of milk you like. You can even use kefir or buttermilk. And put that in there. And mix it all together, just till it really comes together as a dough. You don't want to overmix it. This is going to be kind of a sloppy dough. Let's see here. Yep, nice gooey dough. Okay, great. I got doughy hands. And here we are with our nice cinnamon bun dough. So I'm just going to cover this. Put it somewhere where it's not drafty, maybe a little warm, but it doesn't have to be crazy warm. And put some jammies on, go to bed, wake up, we'll get some coffee and get some buns going. See you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. So you've woken up early, got your coffee in, and now it's time to bake. So I have my dough here that I left out overnight. For 7 to 12 hours you want to leave it. Woke up nice and early, and I'm gonna get to making the buns. So here I have 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So I included the recipe, the link to the recipe in the description below, so you don't have to memorize this. So what we do is we take it, we sprinkle it over the dough. Sprinkle it evenly over the dough. And now we're gonna knead the dough a little bit. We're gonna knead that powder into the dough. Ah, yeah, very sticky. We're just gonna knead this till it's nice and smooth. So that feels about right. It's all kind of come together. So there we have the dough kneaded. I'm gonna flour my surface real good so that it doesn't stick. Okay, that was a lot of flour. I'm gonna turn this dough out onto my nice floured board. Ooh, beautiful. So this dough is really kind of loosey-goosey. So you just gotta work with it a little bit gently. We're gonna roll it out into a rectangle, about 1/2 inch thick, 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch thick. If it sticks, just put a little more flour. So let me tell you something, getting up early before everyone else and baking some sweet cinnamon buns, that's love. Love fueled by coffee. Okay. Check. So that looks good. Looks pretty even, about 1/2 inch thick all over. So now for the filling. It's 6 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, and I'm using coconut sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. So the recipe calls for melted butter, but that is a mistake. If the butter is too melted, you put it on here and it just runs right off and you have a huge sticky buttery mess. So you want the butter nice and soft, but you don't want it completely melted. You want it soft enough that you could spread it on here because the dough is so soft. If the butter's too hard, you'll rip up your dough. But if the butter's too soft, again, a mess. So this seems about right. It's been sitting here a few minutes, so it's actually probably a little bit thicker than I would like it, but it should go on smooth. So we're gonna dump that right here. So I like to use the coconut sugar. I feel like it's a little bit healthier than, it's definitely healthier than white sugar, and even in brown sugar. And it gives it that nice caramelized bottom. So when you bake these, the bottom gets really nice and gooey. This is the perfect consistency. We'll put a nice even layer across the whole piece of dough here. Yep, it snowed. It snowed. These will keep me warm and happy on a nice snowy day. That, and they make the house smell freaking awesome. So we just want to spread this out really evenly here. Have that spread nice and evenly. Now we're going to roll it. So I'm rolling it, so this is the long way. I'm going to roll it the long way so I can get more buns that way. So you got to just coax this into position, roll it nice and tight. Like I said, the dough is very soft dough, so you just got to work with it. Okay. I'm just going to pull up that end. Roll it all the way. Oh, now we got a nice fatty McGee log here. So we're gonna slice these into buns. This is gonna be a little tricky. I like to use a serrated knife for this. And we're gonna bake these in a cast iron skillet. So I got my lovely cast iron skillet right here. Now the recipe says to slice these 1/2 inch thick. I gotta go thicker. I do quite thick. If you did 1/2 inch, you'd have way too many of them, and I like these to be kind of fat. So you just work the knife through, because again, the dough is pretty soft, and then just put them in the pan as you slice them. So mine, let's see, I'll measure. I'm making mine about 1.5 inches thick. So just gently take the knife through, and it has a tendency to lose its shape, so you just kind of reshape them as you're putting them in the pan. And slicey, slicey, slicey. If you don't use a serrated knife, you're just gonna mush these all together. So the serrated knife, you just sort of saw through them. So these are definitely more work than popping a can of Pillsbury's, but trust me when I tell you, it's worth it. I've always got those weird little end pieces, but they turn out. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to take what's left of this filling on the knife and put it on my weird little end piece so that it has something going for it. So here you are. Here's what they look like before they go in the oven. Little bit messy, but when they come out, they're going to be gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in a preheated 350-degree oven for 20 minutes or until they're golden brown. So they might take a few extra minutes, and then I'll meet you back and we'll ice these bad boys. Back, and I got these out of the oven. They are looking gorgeous. Let me tell you something. Have a look at that. Oh yeah. Excellent. So now we're going to make the icing. So this is the naughtiest part. I use a cup of confectioner's sugar, so I make like a very traditional icing. So if there's something that you prefer or you can figure out a way to make it a little healthier, go for it. But for me, I'm going all in with the icing. So I have a cup of confectioner's sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. This teaspoon of vanilla in there. And then I'm going to use coconut milk. You can use regular milk, coconut milk, any kind of milk you got. And it's 1 to 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon and give it a mix and get it to the consistency that I like. If you get it too thin, you can always add a little more powdered sugar just to bring it back up to the texture that you like, the consistency. So I took these out of the oven and I let them cool for just a couple of minutes before I ice them. If they're too hot, the icing just pretty much melts into them and you kind of lose your icing. So I let it cool for just a few minutes before putting the icing on. So I'm going to add a little bit more milk, but not, I don't think, a full tablespoon here. Oop. Start with that. Okay, get this icing all mixed up. Okay, perfect. I think I got it just where I like it. So now I'm going to drizzle the icing over the top. Oh yeah. Try to get it evenly placed. I want to get all of that out of there. Holy cow. Beautiful. So exciting. Oh, and my house smells freaking amazing. We have these beautifully iced. They look amazing. They're going to taste even better. And I can't wait to dig in. Excellent. So let's get one of these out of here and see what we're working with. Oh, I'm taking a big one. Oh yeah. So the best part, as you can see, is the gooey bottom. The sugar and the butter kind of runs out. It makes like this gooey, yummy caramel at the bottom. Oh. So know that these freeze really well too. So if you're making them for yourself, you can put them in the freezer or you can just eat them all.
We are not alone.